Hey everybody, Jake here for Extreme Terrain, and in this video we're taking a look at these T-style running boards in black, fitting 2022 and newer Tundra Crew Max models. If you're looking for a clean, inexpensive, and useful set of running boards for your Tundra, these are going to be just your speed. Featuring a high clearance, slim design with large step pads, these blend in well with the style of your truck while giving you as much access as you could possibly want. Choosing side steps for your truck can be a daunting task, as there are just so many options out there. But sometimes the simplest ones are the best. Enter the T-style running boards we have here. These are a more traditional running board option in that they are designed as one single step and they run the entire length of your cab. So whether you're just vertically challenged like I am and you need some help jumping into the driver's seat, or you need to make sure that you can get access to the roof or bed space, these are going to have you covered. The steps feature a non-slip grip with a 6.5-inch width, so they are wide enough to accommodate even the largest of footwear, and they're going to help you get grip even in slippery conditions. However, unlike typical running boards or other types of side steps, as you can see from the shots here, these tuck up really tight to the body of the truck. From a distance, you may not even notice them. So not only do they look good, but they're also not going to cut into your ground clearance, which means they'll keep your rocker panels protected should you decide to take your truck off-roading. Construction is actually one of the more interesting aspects of these steps. I'm going to flip this one over so you can see, because actually the main meat of the bar is made up from carbon steel and it's finished off with a black powder coating for added protection. So it's quite solid to begin with. All the bracketry is also made using the same steel, and that too is coated for extra protection against rust and corrosion. But the interesting part here is that the actual bar is that carbon steel, but over top is this ABS plastic, this textured black stuff that you see right on top. So this is actually a separate piece that is bolted on top of the carbon steel, so it's going to provide a nice layer of protection over top of it. It's an interesting setup. It's not something we see all that often here. So you've got all the strength you need underneath with the steel, but you've got the protection and the added grip of the plastic over top. Plus, all of this is one piece, so this should wear nice and evenly as well. Pricing for the set comes in at about $400. Now that's not the least expensive option out there, but it is certainly a more budget-friendly choice. And for the good looks, access, and protection that these are going to provide you, if you can fit them into your budget, I think you'll be pretty happy with your choice. Installation gets a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you about 2 hours to complete. Now these are a totally bolt-on operation, so there's no modifications or drilling needed. Just grab your tools and bolt them right onto your truck. Not much more I can say about it here in the studio, so with that, let's head out to the shop and we'll walk you through the process.
The tools you'll need for this project are a ratchet, a 12 and a 13 millimeter socket, a 10 millimeter wrench, and some masking tape. Hi everyone, today we're installing a set of running boards on our Tundra, so let's get started. Now before we actually get to installing our mounting brackets on the vehicle, first thing we're going to do is set up our running boards themselves. And you'll find that we have these metal brackets with some studs welded into them. These are going to go into the bottom of our running board here so that we can mount this to our mounting brackets on the vehicle. So it doesn't matter which one you grab, they're all the same. And there is no right or wrong place to put these at this time. So we're just going to set a couple of them in towards the front. We'll put a couple of them in towards the back. And then just to hold them in place while we set this on the mounting brackets, once we get those installed, I'm going to put a little piece of tape on there just to hold them to the bottom of the running board when we flip this over. Now, like I said, it doesn't really matter at this point where they're located. We just want to have them in place so that we can adjust them later on the mounting brackets themselves. Now we're ready to install our mounting brackets on the vehicle itself. Now you'll notice that there is a difference between the brackets. The front bracket on both sides are going to be a wider distance between the two mounting points than the rear and the center brackets. Now they are also side specific as opposed to the running boards themselves, which are not side specific. The brackets are, and they are all stamped. This one says DF, which means driver's side front. and the rest of them all say DR, which is driver side rear. So it doesn't matter which of these DR brackets you use in which position, they're all the same. The only difference is the front bracket. So you do need to make sure, like in our case, since we're doing the driver side, you have all of the brackets that are marked with a D for driver side. All right, now the kit does come with supplied M8 bolts and washers to install the new brackets. So what you're going to want to do is take one of the new bolts, slide on one of the lock washers, and then a flat washer on top of that. And you can get these all set up ahead of time. You're going to need 8 of them per side. So then once we get underneath, what you're going to do is use a 12mm socket to remove the factory bolts that are already in place, and then we'll replace them with the new ones. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove these 2 front bolts here that are right about even with the front of the door on the side. So we're going to use our 12mm socket, remove these 2 bolts, and then we're going to replace them with the new ones from the kit along with the front bracket. Now we're going to replace our front bracket up into position here. And then using one of the supplied bolts with the lock washer and the flat washer, we'll go ahead and install these new bolts. Now we're not going to tighten these up just yet. We're going to save that for final adjustments. So we'll just put them in until it's going to make sure that it holds it in. We still have plenty of movement here. Now we'll move our way back. As you move your way back on this inner rocker panel, you're going to see 3 sets of these 2 bolts like this all the way back. Yes. So you've got 2 underneath the front door, and you've got 2 sets underneath the rear door. So we'll go ahead and remove those, replace them with 2 new bolts and one of the other rear brackets, and then you can repeat that process for the other 2 brackets. Now we'll place our second bracket in. And again, we're just going to make sure that these bolts are just finger tight so that we've got room for adjustment later on. Now you can repeat that process for the other 2 brackets. Now as you can see, we've already got our brackets completely installed on the vehicle. Now they are loose so that we can install our running board itself, and then we can make final adjustments. So now we're just going to go ahead and set our running board on top of those brackets, being careful not to drop it, of course, and then we'll get back underneath and attach the washers and the nuts to the stud plates that we installed earlier. So now, like I said, we're just going to place this on top of our mounting brackets, like so. Now we can get underneath and put our washers and our nuts on. All right, so now that it's sitting on the mounting brackets, what we can do is go ahead and remove our front piece of tape here that we have holding our stud plate in, and then we can adjust that, put that over the mounting bracket that's on the vehicle, get our studs through, and then we'll put on a flat washer, a lock washer, and one of the nuts on each stud. Now we'll do the same thing for the other stud. And now you can repeat that process for the other 3 brackets. All right, so as you can see, we now have our running board installed on our brackets. It is secure. We've got all of our nuts and washers on. Now the time has come to adjust our running board. Now you can adjust this from front to back to line up our running boards where you want them that way. There's also an adjustment where you can, depending on how close you want it to be to the truck, you can pull it out or push it in. We're going to go ahead and push ours in, make sure that it's centered between the doors, and then we'll go ahead and tighten everything down. All right, now that we've got our boards positioned where we want them, we'll go ahead and tighten down our nuts on the bottom of the board using a 10mm wrench. And now you can repeat that for the other 3 brackets. All right, now it's time to go ahead and tighten up our bolts attached to our inner rocker panel here. And to do that, we're going to be using our 13mm socket. That's a little difficult to get the camera up in here because clearances are pretty tight, but you know where the bolts are at because you installed the brackets already. So we'll go ahead and tighten these up with our 13mm socket. And now you can repeat that process for the other 3 brackets. Now that we've got the driver's side installed, you can repeat that whole process for the passenger side. And that wraps up our review and install of the T-Style running boards in black for your 22 and a newer Tundra Crew Max. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Tundra, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.